Hello, April, and hello, brains from around the world.
Understand is that we need to get back in alignment. And not only is she fantastic at helping people get the rhythm back, but also she's a kinesiologist. And we're going to talk to her about that and find out really what that is. Tell us a little bit about you, Zoe, and how you show up in the world.
And I started off in kinesiology in about 2015 when I was in some really awful, stressful times at work. And as a result of that, I managed to talk my boss into letting me get some therapy to help me with the stress. And I knew counseling wasn't going to cut it because I know a lot about myself and I like to go deep. And so I managed to talk her into giving me 3 sessions of hypnotherapy.
Mm,
Now, hypnotherapist turned out to be a kinesiologist.
wow.
So she gave me a session, and on that table, I cried, I laughed, I shook, I breathed, I let go, and I walked down to the beach and I sat on a rock with all these shells I'd picked up. Of course, there were seven, and they were all the colors of the chakra, which I'd done
Mm,
unconsciously. And I sat on the beach at one of the rocks, and the water washed over me, and I went, "That's it. I'm going to change my life and become a kinesiologist." So it was an epiphany moment. It was one of the few I've had in my life, and it was big. And I'm still doing it now. What is it now? 10 years later, I'm still working in here with women and children, particularly a lot now with kids, and bringing that sense of connection back to each other so they can communicate and connect and open their hearts, which gives this ripple effect across their home and their friends and their family and their community.
absolutely. How does kinesiology help people go deep and find that?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I need to mention here is kinesiology is different around the world. So in America, how a lot of people see kinesiology over there, from my understanding, is it's more like what we would call sports science. It's about the movement of the body. Whereas in Australia, and particularly in this little space here of my clinic, I use kinesiology as a way of the movement of the body, which is what it is, but it's also the movement of the energy and the emotions. So I work a lot with the emotions that are behind the physical pain or presentation of what's going on in someone's life. So, when they get stuck, they often get knee pain or foot pain. When they're taking on everybody else's stuff, the burden, they feel it in their shoulders and they get things like frozen shoulders and things like that. So the way I work is to identify with kinesiology, which is biofeedback. So it's your body talking to me and me interpreting that. So the body holds the memories. The
Right.
body holds the emotions. The body knows. But we work from here. Everybody sits in their head. And all these people, the brains that are out there, they're in their heads a lot of the time.
Right.
And as a result of that, their nervous system becomes like the feral cat. You don't want to get too close to a feral cat. So
Right.
when somebody's nervous system is shot and burnt out and in overdrive, approach slowly. No talking, no slow movements, where you can actually just come into a space and hold someone. And that's what I do here. I really use kinesiology with the biofeedback of the body, the messages of the body, to help people reconnect back to their hearts so that they can then start to let go of the story of the traumas that they've experienced.
Right. Right.
And trauma is not what happens to us. It's the fact that someone wasn't there to hold us and love us and nurture us
Mm,
at the time of something happening.
wow.
And that's what I do. I help people reconnect to that so that they can release it or gain more awareness of it, or actually go to a point where they go, "I forgive myself and my own little inner child for holding on to that story for such a long time, and I'm going to now let it go." It's powerful.
This,
Also trained in shamanic studies using guided energy medicine. And so a lot of that is building and connecting my intuition and my trust in my spiritual team, which is with me all the time. And so what I'm able to do is I use the body's wisdom and knowledge and allow it to remember what is happening within themselves, within the client. And then I get intuitive notifications from my spiritual team about where to take the journey. So the client's actually driving the journey, not me.
right.
And I'm getting reinforcement from my spiritual team who give me the guidance as to what we need to do next.
All right. Now, how do I trust you with my child?
Um, I have some long-standing experience of children. I've had two of my own. I've had a lot of siblings and nieces and nephews to work with. I now get referrals from a local child psychologist who is bringing that very scientific, logical approach to children's care and mental health. And she's now collaborating with me in order to support the children that she refers to me, because I can do the body work. She can't do that. So where she will do talk therapy, I come in and do the body work to actually settle the nervous system. So all those little feral cats out there who've got their big emotions and they don't know how to regulate themselves, they can come to me and they can find calm and peace and a sense of self, where we can then start to delve a little deeper than just the conversations.
And
And
that's
so,
so hard though. And again, I'm asking from an outside perspective because the mind and the experiences have not truly developed for
that's right.
the
Yeah.
7 year old or a 9 year old. And we as adults are going in, for the lack of a better term, manipulating and altering that based upon
Mm.
epigenetic generational trauma.
Yes.
I'm seeing it as a slippery slope. Again,
Yeah.
that's what you know how to do. That's what the psychologist knows how to do. And
Mm.
that's what the parent is trusting you to do. And the
Yeah.
child is just laying there, just okay, whatever.
Yeah. Or bouncing around the room, which is
Right.
also,
And you have so many children. That's another thing I
yeah.
brains is that the species, what
Mm.
we know as human beings right now, is evolving into something else. It's just like
Yes.
when, man went from hunched over to standing up. We are moving into the next evolution of humanity, what that looks like, civilization, what that looks like. Because there's too many people that are neurodivergent. Too
Yeah.
now, we've always had a person that's been, we say it here, they're touched, or they're a
Yeah.
little special, or they're different, right. But I'm talking about from the onset,
Yeah.
they learn differently. They have a heightened sense of sound, or some are very high functioning, some are very good with mathematics. I was talking to one little boy, and I was telling him I was at Loch Ness, uh,
Yeah.
and I was looking for Nessie. He told me about every dinosaur there was. I mean,
Yeah.
down to, but his mother goes, and she's trying to shush him. You don't have to shush him. I was interested in what
Yeah. Absolutely.
you can't be ashamed of that. You've got to work with it because it is something different. It
Mm.
is very different. Do you agree? Do you find that that's a lot more common
I,
than it was?
yeah, I do actually. And I think, I think schools have a lot of impact here, because they have the kid who is different, who learns differently, who jiggles around and is hyperactive because they can't sit still and they're wiggling away, and they instantly go to, oh, let's get them assessed for ADHD. And it's like, I sort of sit here and think, no, this poor little kid, he just wants to know who he is and how can she learn in a way that she understands. And what I've found is I've recently just completed some amazing training on primitive reflexes. Now, these are the reflexes that come in to every person in utero, and they're supposed to be integrated and by around about 3, 4 years old.
Mm.
And they look at the movement of the body from utero through to standing, so crawling and all those sorts of things, lifting the head up. And when they're not integrated, they have an impact on learning and development, physical and emotional and mental development down the track. So if you have a C-section and your child does not come through the birth canal, you don't integrate the spinal galant reflex. And later in life, they end up being fidgety and wriggly because they can't have anything on their backs. They feel sensitive on their back. And in school, that looks like ADHD.
Right.